Sangha. So today is the last day of October, the 31st, 2021. A few months ago, Joyful Garden Sangha sent me the whole list of the activity each month, and today's Dharma talk is our last talk. And I said, oh, that is very far away. It's far away. So I planned what kind of topic that I should say. And the topic for today is the silence. And this is one of the greatest fruit that I found in my own practice. After I read the book, The Silence from Thai. Have you read that book? If you have not, you should read it. And I found out what's missing in my practice. Even though that I have been practicing for quite a number of years, but I still get stuck. I still get stuck at some point that my practice cannot be improved. So after I read that book, I realized that, oh, this is how I get stuck. And it gave me it gave me a great joy, actually. So this is how I choose this topic, that is not only share what I have learned, but also my fruit of practice. When I read that book, before I read that book, I asked, does it relate to my own peace and love and happiness from within? It means that the silence. Or does it help me to alleviate my own suffering? Practice mindfulness is this all I need, or I need something else? Some other essential factor that it helped my practice stronger. And how does it help me in my daily life? Can I be free from my past, from my fear, or can I be free from my anger and jealousy and restlessness and greed in the present? I believe this kind of question, that it's not only me have this kind of questions, and I believe all of you today have this kind of question within you also. We've been practicing mindfulness for a long time, but we still suffered. Have you ever asked yourself that why? Like my first Dharma talk is about mindfulness and the miracles from mindfulness practice. But today is from my heart, I really want to share. This is a very important, essential factor in the mindfulness practice. Our teacher said that silence is a necessity. We need silence as we need air, as the plants need sunshine. And this sentence is, really, I feel so touched, and it's so true. Can we live without air? And the plants cannot survive without the sunshine. And I started to prioritize the condition that I need to do in my practice. So I put the silence in my head is the first factor. To really feel that mindfulness practice needs the silence from within in order to be shine. And of course, that everyone has different experience, your own experience in the mindfulness practice. But I hope that what I share today can be a booster, like a supporter, a great support for your practice. So why is the silence so important? And we usually, in the formal, if you have learned the Dharma, and we have know about the Four Noble Truths. So first one is suffering. The second one is the causes of the suffering. And the third one is the fading away of the suffering. And the fourth Noble Truth is the path. And it's so amazing that I have learned from Thầy that instead of the third one is the fading away of the suffering, Thầy said that that's the absence of suffering, which means the happiness. So instead of you always repeating, this is suffering, or the fading away of the suffering, but Thầy look into the equal meaning, a synonym of the absence of suffering is happiness. So I would like to use today is that silence is the absence of noise. So the absence of noise is sometimes we can go to the forest or the countryside without, there's not many cars or, shopping malls or crowds of people. So you can feel the silence of the environment, of the atmosphere around you. And that kind of silence is from outside, and we can feel it. And of course, that when you feel the silence from outside, it helps the silence in us increase. And all the noises in our heart and our mind, it just like have a chance to really calm down. And we usually say that we have been in a big city, a very busy city, especially for those who live in Hong Kong. If you go to the city, it's so many people, and you have to clear the way because it's so crowded, and it's just cover all the street. And of course, it's over before COVID-19 happened. And you can feel like people talking, people, running and laughing and chattering, and the noise from the advertisements around, and the cars and the horns. It's all kind of noise. And the collective energy for people rushing to buy things or get entertainment, or voices from people talking, is that we can observe in our mind. And can you imagine that after a day going out in that busy places, and at night when you sit down, those noises replay. And you can, you just close your eyes, and whatever you observe from your eyes, from your ears, from your taste, because you have to go to a restaurant and eat, or somewhere else, this kind of happen is really, you can feel it, you can see it when just close your eyes. And how the people talk, how the things that you have seen, and you can replay the video again. So this kind of noise in our heart or in our mind is, if we call is neutral. It's neutral noise, because it just replay it again, because you have no feelings to them. But it happened. It happened all the times. And it's just like, when you practice silence, it's have different levels. First, that the silence replay from our sensory food. That sometimes it's, all the information, all the input that you observe from your eyes, your ear, your smell, your taste, your touch, it come up. And sometimes it come up in your sleep, and you can feel and you see and you hear also. And it's just like a background. And if you observe your mind a little bit deeper, even you're still working, you do this and do that, but your mind, or the images or the sound is playing at the background. So that's why a very high-tech headphone, we call it noise cancelling. You just put it here, and you can cancel or reduce all the noise around. Can we have that capacity, or we can have that function in our head? If that noise come up, can we have the button to just press and you do the noise cancelling in our head? And I believe we can do that too. And for this kind of noise that it's easier. It's easier for us to deal with. But like by just focus on what you're doing and whatever come up, you just recognize it and let it go. And if it's a little bit strong, you just sit still and follow your breathing and let it go. And you have to know that let it go is the essential factor in the practice of silence. Because if everything you carry on in our head is just like a supermarket. And we call it the non-stop thinking radio station. And that station is like a permanently playing all the time. And we don't have enough mindfulness or awareness, that noise from the background, in order to stop them. So the sound or the noise or the voice from within us is the most important method that we have to be aware of. Can you imagine right now, you close your eyes? Do you still hear the noise in your head? And of course, right now I'm giving a Dharma talk and you listen to me, so the background noise is reducing because you focus on one thing. But can you imagine that you just sit alone without anything? So that voice from within will be louder. And today I really focus on how can we be gentle with the noise from within. Can you imagine when you have anger? Any one of us here is an expert to deal with anger? Trish, yes. I know you're expert. But when you anger, when you have anger, what do you hear? We hear our own voice talking angrily, arguing, say something that try to punish the person we think that is a cause of our anger. And it come up with our energy. When we're angry, of course, we feel hot, Our face very red, our eyes burning, very red. And I usually say that when I get angry, don't close to me because my eyes can burn you. Because my ears have smoke up and my eyes burning with flame up, with flame. If you come close to me, my eyes, my energy can burn you. Can you imagine that a person just outside of us, and they can feel like that? What about us? We're also burning ourselves with this kind of energy. And the voice, the angry voice is really terrible. And when you depress also, that's why people cannot sleep, because of this kind of noise, this kind of voice. People cannot sleep. because they stimulate the negativities in us. They stimulate the negative energy. We all see the bad and a very cloudy and a heavy things in life. And if you have you ever experienced that when you have feeling a strong emotion, it's hard to sleep and it's hard to rest. And when we feel, empty in our heart, we feel irritated, we feel agitated, our body becomes restless. We have to find something to do. All activity that we feel restless and the thoughts come up because this kind of feeling, the emotions is playing in the background. And we never, if we don't know about mindfulness, or mindfulness is just like, for me, that when we practice mindfulness, it's just be aware. Are we aware of what's going on? So just like yesterday, I have some emotions, and I know that when I go to bed, that emotions will running again and again. I say, oh, this is no good, because I will take my my good sleep away. And what I did, very simple. What I did was, of course, everything we do is to have to return to our breathing. Be aware of our breathing. This is the first crucial condition in our practice. Sit still, that's the second one. When we feel we're restless because something playing in the background, and we think, oh, we should do this, we think we should do that. I should call this person, I should talk to this person. So to speak out what I'm feeling right now. But that is the second step. The first steps in our practice is just follow our breathing with awareness, with gentleness. Even if you follow your breathing without gentleness in your heart and your mind, you will interfere your breathing, and you feel very heavy also, because like you suppress your feelings in that moment. So you have to be gentle with your feelings at that moment, and also be gentle with your breathing. Whatever happened, it's okay. In that moment, the voice, the noise from our mind is just the loudest noise ever. So I have to be gentle. I don't have to do anything else, but just be gentle to myself. And you have to know that be gentle is also means that you're loving yourself. You don't let the angry energy burning yourself from within. So what I did, just return to my breathing and remind myself. I remind myself that just be gentle and be quiet. This is the practice that I found is so much important. You don't have to think that, oh, what should you do? These 2 steps that I invite you to do, whatever you do later, it doesn't matter. But it's the first 2 steps you need. You try to practice first. A very, a mindful and gentle reminders for yourself. That's the way you love yourself. Can you imagine that I teach a precepts class for my sisters, and I said that what I need, my requirement is everybody have to come to class on time. They should not come to the class after me because I will be in the class 5 minutes before the starting time. And we make commitment not to do that. But just the last class that we had, so many students, many of my students come late. And you know what I did? Oh, I make a very cold face. And my anger just come up. I said, why? This is very simple requirement from a teacher. And, just like today, I didn't mean that I come late because the program that David sent to me, we start at 9:30. So I'm waiting until 9:30 so I can log in. But thanks to Sister Lee, she sent me a message. Oh, we are in Zoom right now. So I logged in. So it's and it's they, even my face is very cold in that moment, and there's no words speaking out, but I can hear my voice complaining from within. It's like, why? Why and why? But also when I heard that voice, at the same time, I also heard another voice tell me that this is the right moment for you to practice. You don't have to wait until, you do sitting meditation or walking meditation. The other voice told me that that's the chance for you. That's the chance for you to prove that you are practicing. You're trying, apply the practice into your life. You cannot just, when somebody didn't do what the way you wanted, and then you just speak out whatever your anger tells you to say. So inside of us, they have 2 voices, always. But it depends on us which one you choose. And of course that we choose a peaceful way, right? So I took the advice from the voice from it within me. You say, yes, if I don't practice right now in this hard moment, I cannot be, I will lose my chance. So I started to smile and return to normal. My cold face gone. But the thing is, when the reminder, a gentle and mindful reminder, really spoke out from yourself, and try to listen to it, and your anger disappeared right away. Because we know that it's not worth it to be carried away by our anger. So the voice is when I just let it go, both voices gone. And I return to the silence from within. And it's so simple. I mean, you don't have to really make commitment to try your best to do this and do that. No, our practice has to be very gentle, very simple, and easy, and joyful. And whenever you can overcome the two voices like that, you feel so at peace. And I think that before I go to sleep, every night, I have to tell myself that be silent. And it's just like a way of training our mind, because our minds always, ruminates the past, ruminates whatever trigger you. And it's just like a count. Again, 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 and again, especially a negative feelings and negative thoughts. And you have to remember that it doesn't stop there. If you ruminate your suffering, it doesn't stop there. Because if you repeat it one time, you add another feeling. You add another imagination. You add another, your perception. And then at the end, your suffering is not from the original reason. You suffer because of your story, your own story. So who suffers? We, ourselves. So the world of our emotion is the way that we have to be very, very skillful and very gentle with it, because a lot of us suffer from that. Why we feel stuck at our chest? Why our hearts are aching? That is because the noise is playing in the background. That is just like someone just sit next to you and talk negatively. So that's why we feel sad, we feel depressed. And of course that each one of us have the habit. This one is, we have to say, that's the habit. We call it automatic negative thinking. That's a habit, very strong habit in us. So that's why in the way when we practice mindfulness, there's teachings is appropriate attention. It means that if you pay attention to negative matters or thoughts, you will go to that direction and you suffer more. Do you want it? Or you have to flip over to see another side of the matter. They say, oh, it's okay to have problems. It's okay to have a hard time. But I still have wonderful things around. Especially, like today, even yesterday, I have some emotion. But when I be with you, I say my life is much more than my emotion. Because I can see that I have a great friends who are with me right now. I don't let myself get stuck in one thing in my daily life. Because our life is much more greater than that. So sometimes we have habit to say, this is suffering is the whole thing of my life. It's not. It's just part of life. And we have to accept it. Our capacity to accept the reality, it doesn't matter or bad or good, but that is our reality. As a practitioner, we have to accept it. And be with it. Be friend with it. And sometimes I cannot handle things. It's just because I'm ruminating my suffering, my disagreement, my irritation. So it's accumulate time to time. And finally, I make a wrong decision. So the habit of searching for or seeking or just focus on the negative thoughts or wrong position, we need to let it go. So the silence here is it's just like when you look into the space and you can see the sunshine shine through the space and you can see the dust. Especially when you see the gap in the, at the door, when the sunshine shine through, you can see the dust flying. But it doesn't mean the space suffered, right? Because it's a reality that right now is dusty. So the dust is flying. But the space will be very calm and accept whatever happening. So the silence is a tool for us to accept that fact. So I think that this practice is very practical. So you can do it today or anytime you sit alone. You can feel what kind of noise is mine. How much time that I really have a quietness or a tranquility moment in my head. Is it that noise louder than I feel or, outside? So you have to have capacity to recognize it. And you have just to practice two simple steps. Return to your breathing consciously. Be gentle and be silent. So please do that. And when we have silence in us, we can keep our mind very clear and alert. It's not a void in our head, It's not an empty space or an empty silence. But the silence can speak very loud. It's just like something that we keep our mind is clear and alert and aware. And this silence keep our heart calm, not disturbed by anger or especially our emotions. And the silence help us to avoid accumulating sorrows or fill up with sorrows and despair, anger. And the silence help us to recognize our continuous thinking, such as running around and around and around like that. You don't have to do anything. Just keep your mind, just tell yourself, be silent, and you see them all in our head, in our mind. And all of this, when you do all of this, it helps us to not to take a wrong move or make a wrong decision. When we focus too much on what we think is right, this is the right thing and this is wrong, I have to fight for the right thing. So your mind is very noisy. You cannot see things clearly. If you realize that your mind is so noisy, do two things, simple two steps. Return to your breathing, be gentle and silent. So if you really feel that your mind is quiet, then you do another practice, like looking deeply. You find out what is the cause of your problems. So just like in the 5 mindfulness training or 14 mindfulness trainings, always say that when we're angry, stop do anything or say anything. Just return to your breathing or practice walking meditation. Because of that silence. You have to generate that silence from within. So in order to help your mindfulness is stronger and brighter, to see the causes of our own suffering, our problems. You can see that, I'm ruminating the past, or I'm running after my greed, or I get stuck with my anger. But please never criticize yourself. Why I just a failure? This kind of thing is no beneficial at all. You have to, sometimes we have to encourage ourselves that I am a good person. I am good. I'm trying my best. But maybe I make mistake because I'm trying to do my best. Doesn't mean that we pampered our mistakes. No, not like that. But we have to accept our mistake. We have to allow ourselves to make mistakes. But we don't stop there. We say, I make mistake, I suffer, so I should not do that. So that's why you make your own practice very joyful, because you don't think that your mind have to be always quiet, your heart always feel love, your heart always feel compassionately. That's not, it's never happened that way. Sometimes we can see the a scary predator in us, very scary person. Have you ever realized that within you? Yeah. You want to punish, you want to do a bad thing. And sometimes at the beginning of my practice, when I get angry with somebody, I always say, oh, I wish that I can punch her so I can release my anger. But of course, that is against my precept. So that is a protection for my precept. I am not allowed to hit anybody. I'm not allowed to insult everybody. But when I'm angry, and my noise, my voice, my angry voice in me tell me, punch her. But of course, I didn't do that. So this is the fruit of the keeping the precept. Keep you out of trouble. Can you imagine that if I get angry about somebody, the Sangha will take my, say, you're not worth it as a Dharma teacher. Yeah. But it's fun. So I laugh at myself when I realize I'm a bad person. But I feel loved when I can love somebody. So this is two sides of life. And we have to use the silence to embrace them. And I see that there's a keeping, be silent from within. It's just like you create a space, or repairs a background, the environment. You can see things clearer. It doesn't mean that you solve your problem. Don't think that. But you have a well preparation for your, of taking care of yourself. So I believe that each one of us, we know that we have bad feelings, strong emotion, unsatisfaction, depression. But when we feel joyful and happy, you also feel that voice also. You not only hear the voice of sadness, right? They can hear the voice of happiness. But the practice, our mindfulness practice doesn't discriminate what kind of voice you are hearing or what kind of noise in your heart. It embraces all. So that's why the factor of gentleness is so crucial. Yeah. So don't create a battlefield in your heart. Okay. So that's why when you feel that our mind is so noisy, you can you can rest in a very calm and peaceful room or environment. You know, and no reaction. And if you really want to take care of yourself more, and you realize that you don't have enough capacity to just be still and be yourself, find a good friend and with a good friend. You know, at least that she or he give you a good advice, or give you just companion, give you a company when you need it. And so this kind of practice, it has to be continuous from the morning into the time go to bed. So that's why you can realize, you can recognize it when you observe in all the activity in your daily life, that do you really be silent or quiet when you do each daily activity or not? When you eat, do you still have a voice or a noise in your head or your mind? Or even you take a shower, it still have a noise there from within. You know, very simple activity, your daily routine. So you can maintain that silence throughout the day. And for me, it's really helped me have a good sleep. I really train my mind to have a switch to turn off the radio station. So before I go to bed, and that is when my emotion is just too strong. I take a little bit more time. So it's whatever we do in a day, don't lose your heart, don't lose your love in your heart. Whatever you do, that is it harm? If I do this, will harm myself or others, or one will harm both? Or do I have capacity to let go of my irritation, my anger, my jealousy? Or this kind of question, it's just very good, reminder. And it will come right in the right moment when you really need it. It needs a lot of training, you know. Our mind is very tricky. They find easy way. But you need a little bit, you know, make commitment. And, you know, you will train a new habit. And later you don't have to struggle a lot because it's always there. So they said that you are the continuation of your thoughts and your reaction, your action. So as a practitioner, choose the right thing to do, because every one of us have a choice. A choice to be happy, the choice to be at peace. a choice to be free. That is how I feel like the practice can be renewed every moment of our life. And don't, like, you don't have to get stuck in one kind of pattern, because when you create a pattern of your reaction, it will be a prison for us. If that kind of reaction or response to life doesn't improve the good quality of my life, I will change it. So it has to be, the practice has to be simple, joyful, easy. Easy, yeah. Is it easy? But underneath, you have to be a very courageous person. Because why? Because we still have a very strong habit in us to go against what you have been doing. It is the hardest things. The way we think, the way we act, the way we speak. We need to observe and be brave enough to make a change. I think it's time for me to stop, right? To conclude my sharing today, the silence is a very, very good companion in our mindfulness practice. If you let our mind full of noises, it's just like a muddy water or a cloudy sky, storms. You cannot see things. And you have to put it into practice for your own benefit. Listening, it's just a listening. But the practice that the Buddha always said, that come and see yourself directly. And I'm happy that I can share the practice and my experience with you all. And because I have trust and very happy to have you on my path. Thank you so much for your listening.
Thank you, dear Siko Luong Nghiem. Let us enjoy 3 sounds of the bell to allow the Dharma talk to sink in.